All in Sports Network. We love sports.
Good Saturday to you all. Just want to hop on here real quick to give you the pecking order. Ben Peck here with All in Aggies. The 5 things I'm looking for against Bowling Green. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment, help us spread this channel, make it as good as we possibly can with the support from you, powered really in essence by the 12th man, if you think about it that way. Anyways, let's get right to it. Wanted to hop on here just before we get ready to see the Aggies take on Bowling Green. Top 5 things I would like to see from Texas A&M this evening. Number 5, I put it down as wide receiver volume. This is something I touched on Friday's show. I want to be able to see, a multitude of ways to win games. I think that's important. I think that helps you get through tough stuff. What we've seen with the receiving core and with the offense generally is very balanced and run the ball, throw the ball. We've seen them maybe lean on the run game a little more to this point. But as far as the receivers go, I'm curious to see if we can see a breakout receiver just take over a game. We haven't seen that yet. We haven't necessarily seen the passing game completely take over a game in general. And again, part of that's the balance, which is a good thing. But if we can have games where we sprinkle in a little bit of this, a little bit of that, that would just be nice to know that you have in your back pocket. Mike Elko alluded to before the year, he thinks he's got a guy or maybe a couple guys who can be kind of that number one dominant guy at wide receiver. You're going to play Bowling Green, a chance to hopefully before SEC play display that, get a little bit of confidence building in that direction. Most of the receiving numbers, if you just go by receptions per game, I don't have it up in front of me just yet, but it's pretty well distributed. Again, that's good to be able to do that, but it would be I'll just be interested to see if maybe there can be a guy or two that really steps out. Cyrus Allen had the big touchdown. Does Noah Thomas, can he rack up, 8-9 catches in a game? We haven't really seen receivers approach that for Texas A&M this season. So that's just, again, it's number 5 on the pecking order for a reason. Number 4, secondary. It's been pretty solid. Run support does need to get better just across the board. That's something Mike Elko kind of called out a little bit in recent time. But secondary, I've been very encouraged in terms of big pass plays, limiting those. And really, this is almost as much about A&M as it is about Bowling Green. You went back and kind of skimmed through the Bowling Green-Penn State game, and they were pretty balanced. They didn't have anything that they leaned on too much, but one thing they did have, they had a fairly solid passing attack. Connor Bazelak, 254, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and they had 2 guys. Who's this? Jason Patterson, who had no, that's the running back. Sorry about that. There we go. Harold Fannin with 11 receptions, 137 yards. Malcolm Johnson Jr., 8 receptions, 81 yards, touchdown for both those guys. So they were definitely the featured targets. And really, this number 4 is less about any concerns with the A&M secondary, but I would like to see A&M be able to take away a team's number 1 option and plan A, and see how well they do in that regard. And I have a sense that is going to be plan A for Bowling Green. They did have, like I said, solid run game in that game with Penn State. That was just kind of a weird game in general. Neither team overly dominated. You look at the box score and again, I watched some of it, but try to figure out how is this game so close? And it kind of doesn't make sense, but welcome to college football. But they had, a couple guys are right around 50 yards, 121 yards total. So it's not like they just air it out and sling it. But I think probably realistically, if they're going to have any chance to keep this game close, it's going to be because their passing game is going off. So I want to see the secondary prevent that. Number 3, O-line continued improvement. We saw how dominant. This one's pretty straightforward. We saw how dominant they were against Florida. 300-plus yards on the ground. Is that going to be the kind of offensive line we can come to expect week in, week out for the Aggies? If that is, oh boy, that is a revelation. So keep it going. I want to see, as much as I'd like to see a receiver take over the game, and I don't necessarily need to see 280 yards passing, but I would like to be able to, maybe less important the overall rush total, but the yards per carry, kind of like what are we averaging, especially amongst the running backs? How's that going? If that can bode well, especially as you get ready for Arkansas. Number two, I mean, Marcel Reed, if he is indeed starting and playing significant reps, let's see if he can take over this job. If he can play in a way to kind of dare Mike Elko to take him out, basically. I think there's a decent chance that happens. Do you open up the playbook a little bit more than you did against Florida? I know you want to maybe keep your cards to the vest, but can you maybe, just to get game reps and for evaluation purposes, can you maybe start to open it up a little bit more? We see a little bit more of the versatility and maybe some more options that you can run with him. See how he does against Bowling Green and use that to evaluate your confidence level in using him for Arkansas and other SEC opponents, especially if I guess it's a moot point if Connor Wigman's not ready by next week or this week. But, like I said, Friday's show, it'll be interesting if and when Connor Wigman does become available. Then what do the Aggies do? I don't know. And number one, look, I don't anticipate this being a game that Aggies should have to sweat out too much. I think let's put it this way. This should be a fairly unconsequential game in terms of should be nice, comfortable for the fans. I know the players got to execute, but barring a disaster, it should be a relatively minor game in the grand scheme of things. So I'm looking for storylines. I'm looking for fun moments. So number one thing I want to see, Cassius Howell, Bowling Green transfer. I want to see him either get a sack, force a turnover, recover a fumble, something. That'd just be fun. That's just for style points and the full circle moment. Good for him. Good for them for developing them. They got a good program over there. They're always pretty competitive in the MAC. So that is what I want to see most in this game. Again, that's assuming that the game is pretty comfortably in hand for the most part throughout the game. We want to avoid situations like what happened in the second game of the season 2022. I know you got to take care of your business, but I have faith that they will. And if they do, let's get something cool to come out of it. Maybe a 12th man kickoff team again. Shout out 12th man. Yeah. So again, top 5 things I want to see: wide receiver dominance. Like let's see a couple guys break out and put 7, 8, 9 receptions on there if possible. If the game plan allows for it. That's why it's number 5. I don't know that the game plan's really going to dictate for needing to see that, but it'd be nice to kind of have that in your back pocket, even if it's just like a couple touchdowns for one guy, like 2 or 3 touchdowns. No, Thomas had 3 touchdowns against New Mexico. That'd be cool. Number 4, secondary. They're going to want to throw it, limit the explosive plays. They've done a good job of that this year, at least through the air. Number 3, keep the offensive line improving, dominant. Not sure how much you'll be able to read into a dominant performance, quote unquote, against this Bowling Green team, but bodes well moving forward. I want to see that they understand, scheme, assignments, that part of it is getting into a rhythm that can then hopefully carry over. Number 2, Marcel Reed, ball out. And number 1, Cassius Howell, have your moment against your former team. So that is the pecking order here on All In Aggies for Bowling Green, Texas A&M. Again, I'm your host, Ben Peck, here on All In Aggies, part of the Rogue Media Sports Network, the All In Sports Network. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend, share this, help us make this the best show we can moving forward. We cover all sorts of sports across campus. And as I get more time to do it, I'll be out at more events, especially as more teams actually play in town. Of course, the fall is a little slow, but we do have soccer coming up Sunday, 2 p.m. against Oklahoma at the Turn It Gold game, raising awareness for pediatric cancer, raising money for pediatric cancer research against Oklahoma, SEC home opener for them. They just picked up their 500th win in program history. So we'll be out there doing that. Hopefully bring you some highlights, some reaction. Those are the type of things we want to continue to do on the show. And obviously we'll have football highlights, analysis. That's coming up Sunday as well. So until then, we will see you then. Again, just wanted to hop on before the game here real quick. give you some things I'm looking for with the pecking order. We will see you on Sunday.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.